My Lord and my God, I firmly believe that you're here, that you see me, that you hear me. I adore you with profound reverence. I ask your pardon for my sins and the grace to make this time of prayer fruitful. My Immaculate Mother, Saint Joseph, my Father and Lord, my guardian angel, intercede for me. I don't know if you are a fan of the Lord of the Rings or not. If you're not, you still probably know, have heard about one of its main characters. His name is Gollum. He's a very ugly creature, at least in the movie, and obviously the way you imagine him if you read the book. But at first, he used to be a hobbit. But he found the ring, the one ring. And that ring gave him special powers. He could disappear when he wore it. It prolonged his life way beyond his natural limits. But it also, as you can see very clearly in the book and in the movie, it completely corrupted him and destroyed him. The ring made him greedy, distrustful. It completely ruined his life, even from the beginning. Because to obtain the ring, he had to kill his relative Deagle, who had found it first in the river Anduin. And then centuries of the ring's influence twisted Gollum's body and mind, and he loved and hated the ring, as he loved and hated himself. And that relationship of hate and love ended up destroying his own life as he fell in the cracks of doom and mortar into his own death and the destruction of the ring with himself. It is a very sad story, and it is unfortunately a story that could happen to you and me if we're not careful. That's precisely what Jesus is going to warn us against in today's gospel. He would say to the disciples, and obviously he's speaking to you and me, do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and decay destroy, and thieves break in and steal. But store up treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor decay destroys, nor thieves break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there also will your heart be. Where your treasure is, there also your heart will be. This is precisely what happened to Gollum. He would call his ring his precious, my precious. It was his treasure. He had put his heart into it completely, to the point of forgetting about those he loved, about those around him, about himself, to the complete destruction of himself. It's a sad story. But it could happen to you and me. We could be that Smeagol. And the ring could be anything we can think of. The car, the watch, some certain vacation that we're dreamt of our whole lives. Success, professional, social, hitting some goals, getting all A's, getting into the best possible college out there, getting hundreds or millions of followers in our social media. Those things, if we're not careful, can easily become our precious. They can easily become the ring that can corrupt our hearts. Because the things of the world, yes, they're attractive, of course. They're helpful in many ways. And we live in the middle of the world, and we need those things. Nothing wrong with having a good car if you need it for transportation. Nothing wrong with having a good watch to give us the time, or maybe show us our text messages. Nothing wrong with having a lot of followers in our social media. It's a good thing if you can influence people and help them. But where is our treasure? Is it in those material things? Or is it in God? Because if those things of the world are transformed into our treasures, which is very easy for it to happen, unfortunately, our hearts get attached to anything that we give to them. And things of this world are made to be attractive. That's what we call concupiscence, right? That is a consequence of original sin. So we need to fight that tendency off and put our heart where it needs to be. In Jesus Christ. Where no moth and decay can destroy, where no thieves can break in and steal. That treasure that is kept in heaven, consequence of our good works, of the trust in God and love of God that we've showed, our relationship with Jesus Christ, and with those around us, obviously, where we see Jesus Christ, brothers and sisters, neighbors, relatives. And that treasure will be stored in heaven and will be kept there for us, waiting for us, to fill us with great joy. Here on earth. You'll be happy here on earth if you put your treasure in heaven. If you put your heart in Jesus Christ, who is the best friend you can have. If you put your trust in God, not in material things that will never fulfill anything. Or in desires of the flesh. Or whims. Only Jesus, only God can fill our hearts. Here on earth. But then, of course, for all eternity in heaven. That's what's at stake. And that's what Jesus is telling us. Don't store for yourselves treasures on earth that you can't bring with you when you're in your life, and they're just going to stay here on earth. The watches, the cars, the likes, the careers, the diplomas. And again, I'm not saying that you shouldn't have these things or look for a diploma or want to get into a good college. That's good. But don't put your heart completely in it. Don't make it your treasure. Because then that treasure pushes out of our lives everything else. And that's where we need to be careful. Let us store our treasures in heaven, where there will be no decay. Let's really love God with all our hearts, knowing that He can give so much to us, knowing that He can make us so happy on earth and then for all eternity. Let's ask the Blessed Virgin Mary, she who really made Jesus her treasure. And Mother Mary, help me to make Jesus my treasure. Let us put our hearts completely in Him. Let us ask Jesus Christ Himself, Jesus, I want you to be my treasure. I want to put my heart in you. Help me, Lord. Fill my heart with your grace. And Jesus will get into our hearts. He will fill us with His love. He will make our lives here on earth worthwhile. And then for all eternity in heaven, He will fill us with that eternal joy. I thank you, my God, for the good resolutions, affections, and inspirations that you have communicated to me in this meditation. I ask your help to put them into effect, my Immaculate Mother, Saint Joseph, my Father and Lord, my guardian angel, intercede for me.